everybody, it's Megan Quintana with Calabacita Senorita Flower Farm in Bloomfield, New Mexico, Zone 6A. Now I'm doing a recap and going back to the sea holly that I had planted a while back ago. Now I started it early because the seed packet said it took a while for it to bloom. However, it was a prolific grower if it germinated. Now, if you remember, some of you might not have watched it and that's totally fine. But I had started my seeds a few months back in a 72 cell tray, kind of like what you see my sweet peas growing in right now. Now it told me to surface sow the seeds for sea holly, and I did that. So it means it needs light to germinate underneath a grow light. And I put it on a heat mat, and 26 out of 72 sea holly actually germinated and grew for me. So that is a very low percentile out of 72 that actually germinated and grew. And these are what the sea holly plants look like now. So they're fairly big. I think I might have started them a little too early because as we can see here, ooh, hopefully it zooms in, the root system is getting pretty established. And one of the things that I don't want before I plant these out into the garden is it being root bound. One, it produces a very unhealthy plant and it doesn't absorb the nutrients that it needs to whenever you actually put it out in the ground. So we'll take a little experiment and look at one of these puppies to see exactly what the roots kind of look like. Wow, weird. So we can see a big accumulation on the bottom here. But you can see it winding around in circles. And that's not necessarily something that I want. However, they're doing pretty good on their pots. They're cells that I had planted up in. These are just regular containers that I got at the nursery and saved throughout the years that I've purchased. And I just potted them up from that 72 cell tray whenever it was the beginning of January, because they were ready by then. So they're sitting there growing beautifully luscious and gorgeous. Here's what they kind of look like. Look at that. Beautiful. They're growing really well. And I have some grow space to keep them growing on here in my grow room, which is totally fine. However, since I had very poor germination, I only had 26 out of 72 come up, I decided to redo some seeds. So I purchased some more sea holly seeds, and I had done them in a soil block instead. So I got a soil block, and these are 20 soil blocks in the 3/4 inch. And I surface sowed them. However, since I had very poor germination, I figured it was because I didn't cold stratify the seed, meaning giving them a cold vernalization period, which is like 2 to 4 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks, depending on what variety you're growing. So what I did is I surface sowed these with the soil blocks, put them in these trash bags, the grocery bags you get at the store. I use them as trash bags. And I covered them and put them in my refrigerator for 2 weeks. It's been over 2 weeks now. It's been like 2.5 weeks. Oops. And now I'm going to put them underneath the light, and I'm going to put them on my heat mat. So if we see over there, this is where I have my heat mat and my light. And I'm going to see if these are going to germinate any better than the ones that I had priorly sown. So here's a shot. We're gonna get ready. It's February 6th in 2022, and I'm going to start them, and we're gonna see if we can't get beautiful, luscious sea holly like this out of all of these. Hopefully I can have as many as I was planting, which is about 80 in this right here. So hopefully I have 80, fingers crossed. But just so you guys have a little update, this is how big your sea holly will grow if you planted it when I planted mine, which was like right after Christmas. I think it was the day after Christmas. I don't even remember. Hopefully it was in November, because that would have been too long. But the ones that germinated, they're kept alive and they're doing great. So if you ever want to do sea holly again, learn from my mistakes. Don't plant them too early. Even though they're going to take a while to grow. I don't mind planting established plants out, but this is taking up a lot of room on a grow rack. And give them a cold period. Put them in your fridge. Put them outside, wherever is best, and see how it goes. I will give you an update on how these ones go in a couple weeks' time. Hopefully better than the first ones. Thank you guys so much for following along if you want to, and learning with me and my mistakes. That's the best way to garden, I think. We'll see what happens.